this one must be very profound. The Ethics of Aristotle. Now, anybody that read that must believe he's a cut above anybody that hadn't. See, it's no good, Montag. We've all got to be alike. The only way to be happy is for everyone to be made equal. So, we must burn the books, Montag.
We want to be free. We want to be free to do what we want to do. We want to be free to ride. We want to be free to ride our machines without being hassled by the man. And we want to get loaded.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left. Because my children are coming. I told you 20 years ago.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
In my way of thinking, without judgment, you might as well be dead. Your brain is, so why not the rest of you? We were talking about marijuana. We still are. Marijuana is the flame, heroin is the fuse, LSD is the bomb. So don't you try to equate liquor with marijuana, mister, not with me.
All right, let's do this. This is Pop Your Culture on Cheer FM and Radio Gordo. I'm your host, Randall LeBron, taking us through a 2-hour journey through Canadian music. That's right, kind of an extension of a Canada Day weekend. I did a show earlier on my Psychedelicatessen show where it was all Canadian artists, carrying that over on this show. But we're focusing on modern rock bands and hopefully the stuff that maybe just slides far enough outside of mainstream CanCon type content for us to explore some new to us stuff and maybe some glad to hear once again sort of stuff on here. This is the 156th anniversary of the sort of inauguration, the founding, the birthday, as it were, of Canada. And I know it's become ever increasingly easy to find a multitude of reasons to slag off the concept of Canada and, cry colonialism and all of that sort of stuff. And, I don't really go for that. I think that, we didn't always do things as well as we could have in the past. That's kind of flippin' obvious. Now, does that mean that we are incapable of doing things better now? No, I think we are capable of doing things better now. I think we are doing things better now. Are we doing things perfectly now? No, but I'm typically pretty glad to live in this country. Now, that's not to say that I agree with the political leadership these days. I'm not particularly fond of the haircut in charge. I remember many years ago, before old JT was voted in and he was running against Stephen Harper, I was telling people back then to be careful who they were voting for because I thought he was grossly inexperienced and people were so desperate for change from Stephen Harper's Conservatives that they were going to vote for an incompetent evil, I suppose. I mean, I didn't really like a lot of the Stephen Harper policies back in those years, the silencing of scientists and whatnot. But one thing that I would grant that guy any hour of any day of the week was he was a good politician. I didn't like his team, but I was able to acknowledge the fact that his team was pretty great at playing the sport, if the sport was politics. Now, we look at where we're at now in this country, the weird censorship bills online. So, I mean, who knows? There could even come a time when commentary like this in a music show might be deemed as far too inappropriate for all those sensitive ears out there. And I would like to think that those of us who are tuning into something like popular culture don't have those sensitive ears, that we have those adventuresome ears, because we get into some weird stuff sometimes. But no, this week we're just looking at Canadian artists, and I think just having a celebration of things. We can often spend far too much time tearing things down without building things back up, and let's try to spend this 2-hour time block that we have together building something up. And it's Canadian artists on this one. We have a set of 3 opening it up, kind of in an upbeat sort of way, when we have Metric and Dead Disco. Just a fun kind of jaunty rock number standing by. But we're going to open it up with one of the largest legends in sort of Canadian alternative rock. These guys were, from the East Coast. I think they managed to break all right in the States. Probably not. I mean, this is probably an example of Canadian CanCon on modern rock stations, making them bigger than maybe they would have been of their own merit if they had to rub shoulder to shoulder with those American bands. But, Canadian content doesn't always mean tragically hip or the Stampeders, or always having to listen to, a song by Rush every once in a while. I mean, with like every 5 songs on some classic rock stations. No, it can mean listening to Sloan every once in a while. And so opening up this edition of Pop Your Culture, let's do this. This is Sloan, Money City Maniacs. East Coast hipsters right there wrapping up that scene. Wrapping up that set. Oh, nice little slip there. Broken Social Scene. Fire-Eyed Boy closed up that set of 3. Metric, Dead Disco, and Sloan, Money City Maniacs were the opening 2 in that set. Great one from Sloan. I'd have to say that's probably my enduring favorite from that band. The Other Man is another great one. I suppose probably the biggest one in Canadian alternative rock charts going back to like the mid-90s would have been Coax Me, being one of those big ones. Where were they from? Halifax, I believe it was. Yeah, this is one of those things when you grow up enmeshed in the culture, you don't always catch the details because you live it. And I suppose it's one of the reasons why I like doing my deep dives into, like when I do my psychedelic rock radio show, it's something I didn't live through, so I have all these details at my fingertips through published media. Just, I can go back and read about it, so I'm able to catch all these things. It's like, I remember watching the show Rock and Roll Jeopardy back in the day, and Sugar Ray was on a show along with Joe Walsh and Graham Nash, and it was one of the most hilarious examples that I'd ever seen, because you have 2 of these legends who lived through the original blossoming of that sort of classic rock era. I'm not talking about, that first rock and roll, which, it's a little bit different beast. I still like a lot of that stuff, but classic rock, that late 60s to mid 70s sort of stuff. Now you had the 2 legends who lived it, who made it, all that kind of stuff. And then you had the younger guy there. The younger guy kicked their asses because he was able to study the culture that they lived. So, of course, they missed tons of details. He was, enamored with them, so he was able to catch them. I'm much the same way. So, it's something I suppose to consider. Part of the thing, though, is I lived through some of this culture. I remember seeing this next band in a tiny venue in the Cowichan Valley in Duncan. So I guess, truth be told, if I was to geolocate myself, I'm from Vancouver Island, the Cowichan Valley, and so I've caught shows here for many moons. And one of the bands that I remember catching, knew the drummer as well at the time, was the Mother Tongue Band. So from their self-titled EP released back in 2010, we're going to do this one. Pretty cool stuff. It's kind of Ben Folds 5-esque, and that's not to detract from this one. It's to give us some context, because I don't mind me some Ben Folds 5 either. So, yeah. Coming at us right now on Popular Culture on Cheer FM and Radio Gordo, Mother Tongue Band, Mass for Shut-In.
Woke up to a sound, the trains are leaving the station. Woke up to a cigarette. Woke up on the ground, the pain's all covered back the throne. The useless see the sun. When they say they're cutting off the phone, I tell them you're not home. No place to hide. You're fighting as a soldier on their side. You're still a soldier in your mind, though nothing's on the line. You say it's money that we need, as if we're only mouths to feed. I know no matter what you say, there's some debts you'll never pay. Working for the church while your family dies. You take what they give you and you keep it inside. Every spark of friendship and love will die without a home. Hear the soldier groan, we're glad it alone. Taste the fear, lift me up and take me out of here. Don't wanna fight, don't wanna die, just wanna hear you cry. Who's gonna throw the very first stone? Oh, who's gonna reset the bone? Walking with your head in a sling, wanna hear the soldiers sing. Working for the church while my family dies. Your little baby sister's gonna lose her mind. Every spark of friendship and love will die without a home. Hear the soldier groan, we'll go at it alone. Taste your fear, it's gonna lift you up and take you out of here. And the bone shall never heal, I cannot if you kneel. We can't find you now, but they're gonna get their money back somehow. And when you finally disappear, we'll just say you were never here. Church while your life falls apart. But singing hallelujah with the fear in your heart. Every spark of friendship and love will die without a home. Hear the soldier groan, we're glad alone. Hear the soldier groan, we're glad alone.
From one of my favorite albums released in the modern rock, kind of alternative rock, Canadian artists, that was the Arcade Fire Intervention, a fantastic song from a band that is now plagued by issues of sexual misconduct is levied against Win Butler, the vocalist and one of the main songwriters, kind of the front man for the band. The band lost a lot of touring opportunities, lost a slot on tour with Beck. It was a big hit for the band. It's hard to bounce back from that sort of thing in this era. And not to say that they should, escape unscathed if there was real issues of, just misconduct. There are also a lot of people in that band. It is another one of those bands where, unlike, say, modern new metal band Slipknot with a whole crew of 9 people on stage wearing masks, running around acting all crazy, there is a pretty good gaggle of people on stage when you're looking at your Arcade Fire being up there. So there's a lot of people's livelihood who was affected by allegations. And, when they're allegations of a personal matter and not necessarily a criminal matter, when Butler's wife was also in the band, if they kind of worked it out themselves behind the scenes, it's not necessarily, I would think, up to the court of public opinion to really take this down, especially when a lot of people's livelihoods depended on the functioning of that band. And maybe it's not well-rounded people that make really long-lasting artistic statements. I think that song is going to be a really important one, if not to myself, but to others as well, for quite some time. I mean, somebody's going to go back and discover that album and not know some of the social context around it and just hear some fantastic sounds. I'm Randall Liberon. This is Pop Your Culture Canada Day episode. Today's Canada's, or well, I guess technically early, just not that long ago, as we are sliding into the midnight hour, minutes ago was Canada's 156th birthday, and we're taking a look at all Canadian artists on this show tonight. So we're going to continue that along with this set, kind of bringing an acoustic vibe to it. Luther Right and the Wrongs is in this set. Now, I discovered Luther Right and the Wrongs when I went to Camosun College back in 2001. They did a cover of Pink Floyd's The Wall, start to finish, in a country bluegrass fashion. I immediately sought that out and was very pleasantly surprised. Really cool stuff. We're not playing that one. We're going to check out something from their subsequent album, Guitar Picking Martyrs. We also have Dan Mangan, who's out of Vancouver, second up in this set. I remember hanging out with him at a gig in Duncan back in 2010. It was a drive venue, but we were hanging out in the back room, the green room, I suppose. I was the guy from the radio station hanging out with them. The band was there doing tequila shots in the drive venue, so I knew it was going to be a good show. They wrapped up their performance with Robots. The place was more than sold out. If there was a fire marshal that would have went through there, would have had to have shut it down. Well over capacity. One of the reasons why that show with Dan Mangan was so great. But we're going to get this this set going with Danny Michel from the album of the same name. This is Feather, Fur, and Fin.
I went to the country to escape the noise and lights, and I laid there in the pine cones all night. I woke in the morning and all the trees were gone. I got this sinking feeling, everything felt wrong. There was strip malls and dollar stores and diesel in the air. So I slept in a rowboat and I anchored far from shore. Now I don't hear them chainsaws no more. I woke in the morning when someone pulled the plug. I was stranded in the lake bottom sludge, with all the tires, paint cans and things. Well, going to the city when all the trees were gone, and I laid there on an asphalt lawn. And she cried out 1,000 days of hurricanes and floods. Her face ran with tears, and the streets ran with blood. Fur coats and sushi boats and diesel in the air. Every little critter in feather, fur, and fin cried to Mother Nature to come back for them. For every piece of litter, for every little sin, she cried for all of them. Feather, fur, and fin. She cried for all of them. Feather, fur, and fin. Feather, fur, and fin. She cried for all of them. For feather, fur, and fin. She cried for everything.
I don't know what you've been told, but I don't get out much these days. Waking young and feeling old, the days are no longer my own to piss away the waking hours. But don't let them go. Don't let them go to waste. The fire in my eye is fleeting now. Your robot heart is bleeding. Try to be the robot king and settled for a robot boy. Ring the bells that still can ring and sing your stupid head off to the ones who are not listening. But don't let them go. Don't let them go to waste. The fire in my eye is fleeting now. Your robot heart is bleeding out, and I spent half of my life in the customer service line. Flaws in the design, a sign of the times, and that little voice in the back of your mind just wants you to know, just hopes that you know robots need love too. They want to be loved by you. They want to be loved by you. They want to be loved by robots. Need love too. They want to be loved by you. They want to be loved by you. They want to be loved by robots. Need love too. They want to be loved by you. They want to be loved by you. They want to be loved
1, 2, 3. Well, we got all these guitars, all these guitar pickers, a table and 4 chairs, and a bottle of hard liquor, a bag of POT. We'll get this party started. I'll play a song with me, one of the broken-hearted. Well, I think it starts in 3, but it don't make no difference, 'cause it happens randomly, about as much as I might make sense. It's smoking POT. I could damn well be cathartic. It helps to bring relief from the pain of the broken-hearted. Guitar picking martyr. Smoking POT. We'll get this party started. I'll play a song with me, one of the broken-hearted. Guitar picking martyrs. I'll play a song with me for all the broken-hearted. Guitar picking martyrs.
Everyone I know is going to burn in hell. Oh well. But if Lucifer were here, he'd tell you why. Oh, why he fell. 'Cause everyone is holding on, but looking up while holding on. We all aim higher than we can fly. We
Going back to 2008 for that release, that was Hank and Lily. That's right, Hank Pine and Lily Fawn from the album North America, the track Lucifer. One of my favorite incarnations of that band. They had a very distinct style on each of their 3 full lengths, at least that I have in my collection. Crank City, which was their most recent one, very sort of electronic party rock. I like the rootsiness of North America. Really just appreciate the vibe. I used to work with Hank at a music store, so it's pretty cool to, hear this music and sort of be transported back to that time. Lily, who's also in that band, will be appearing with a different band that she's in later in the show. We're going to check out a cut from a band called Meat Draw, so, hang around for that one. Luther Right and the Wrongs, Guitar Pickin' Martyrs was in there before Hank and Lily. Dan Mangan, Robots before that, and Danny Michelle, Feather, Fur, and Finn was before that. And now on this edition of Poppy Culture, the Canada Day edition, we're going to check out a band that I would have loved to have seen live in this era. This comes to us from their second well-known, so I guess second major label release, The Edges of Twilight. I got this album back shortly after it first came out, based on the strength of its first single, Fire in the Head. Now this one I don't actually recall being an official single. This was more so a fan favorite. I even learned how to play this song on guitar. It was so much fun. It's like in an open C tuning. It was one of the reasons why I learned open C. And the truth be told, during this era of the Tea Party, I gotta say it was my favorite era. They matured into truly their own sound in subsequent years, but my favorite era is that Splendor, Solace, The Edges of Twilight, and then the first Departure album of Transmission, when they went kind of goth electronic. But it was when they were really like this Doors, Led Zeppelin styled band that I enjoyed them the most, because I really like Doors and Led Zeppelin. So to get a band writing original songs essentially in that style, instead of that high caterwaul shriek of Robert Plant, think of that more baritone style of Jim Morrison fronting Led Zeppelin. Yeah, and you kind of have that sound that got the Tea Party onto my radar. And so yeah, we're gonna check this one out from the album The Edges of Twilight. Really cool song here. This is Sister Awake.
When the winter was over, she returned there to find him, and her memories filled her with light. She remembered the beauty, she remembered desire, and her memories filled her with light. I'm the sun in the flame, cold from the flame turns away, and in these winds came a change. She awakes. Well, Reuben had a train, put it on the track, he run it to the Lord knows where. Bobcat says the hobo now, cocaine, won't you give me some? I believe, great God, I'm coming down. It's whoa, Lord of me, and it's whoa, Lord of my, yeah, I believe, great God, I'm coming down. Well, ride that rail, whoa, whoa, whoa. One day you will be taken. Ride that rail, no, no, Lord, ride that rail. Someday you'll be forsaken. Reuben had a train, put it on the track, he run it to the Lord knows where. It's whoa, Lord of me, and it's whoa, Lord of my, run it to the Lord knows where. Yeah, it's whoa, Lord of me, and it's whoa, Lord of my, run it to the Lord knows where, child, now, now. Whoa, Lord of me, man, I swear, oh, Lord of my, run it to the Lord knows where.
Taken from the album Dog My Cat, and which was actually recorded on Salt Spring Island a little over 20 years ago. That was Harry Manx, a song called Reuben's Train. On that album, Manx played an instrument called the Mohan Veena, which is like a 20-string guitar. So think of it kind of like the marriage of a guitar and a sitar with the sympathetic strings, and it really helps work in that Indian influence that we heard on that song. Some pretty cool stuff. The album is definitely worth checking out if you like that kind of a vibe, and I thought it was a good vibe to use to follow up the Tea Party, from whom we heard Sister Awake. Now that one, they use instruments like there's a tambura in there, hence the open C tuning of the guitars, because a tambura, the Indian instrument, it's a drone instrument tuned to C and G. It's the way that kind of works in that tonality. Some of those hand drums, it would sound more like a darbuka, which is like an African drum, rather than maybe the tablas, which were more so like your Indian drums. But hey, we don't need to be too tight about that. But some really cool sounds on there, and I thought those two tracks worked together well. This is Popular Culture on Cheer FM and Radio Gordo. It's Canadian artists, and as I said at the beginning of the show, kind of proof that CanCon doesn't always have to mean, sort of the same old handful of tragically hip or Rush, or I guess, maybe some Alanis Morissette or something like that. Now we're sort of spreading our wings a little further out than that, and also working in some real independent artists into this show. And these next two artists are a great example of that one. The second one, I think, has reached a higher level of fame. The first one up in this set, though, I gotta say, I don't know if they necessarily made it off of the island a whole lot. They're known as Run Chico Run, and this is a track called California Freedom Rock, right here on Popular Culture on Cheer FM and Radio Gordo. that was Chad Van Galen, an artist based out of Calgary, Alberta, at least at that time. There was a song called Bare Feet on Wet Grip Tape. That followed up Run Chico Run, some Victoria, BC rockers with California Freedom Rock. It's a kind of eclectic indie rock and roll on those ones. And of course, great example of sort of the depth of artistry, I suppose, that you could find in the Canadian alternative rock music scene. And that's really what this show is dedicated to, especially is the alternative rock. I mean, we did have the Harry Manx stuff in there, and then even Luther Right and the Wrongs, so bringing in a bit of that country bluegrass sort of sound, but some pretty cool stuff. We're gonna get into something where we're bringing the rock in a little bit more so, I suppose, even than those last couple of songs, at least in maybe a more post-punk-ish sort of way. Now, it's two bands that are related to one another. The second band in the set is Wolf Parade. They managed to come together in Montreal, or at least that's where they really managed to hit a level of national fame, was when they were based out of there. But one half of the band, Dan Beckner, was actually from the Cowichan Valley, so really close tied home there. Now, his writing partner in Wolf Parade was Spencer Krug. He was the frontman of the first band in this set. So from the band Sunset Rub Down, this is Idiot Heart. from the album At Mount Zoomer. That was Wolf Parade, Fine Young Cannibals, sort of mining a television-like vibe. Kind of reminds me of Marquee Moon a little bit, like that sort of interplay. The Pulse, almost a krautrock influence in there as well. It's pretty cool stuff. At Mount Zoomer, for my money, is really where I get the most satisfaction with Wolf Parade. Now, Dan Beckner, when Wolf Parade kind of split up / went on hiatus, I guess it kind of depends on who you sort of listen to. It took them quite a while to come back with some newer material after At Mount Zoomer, but he went on to form a band called Handsome Furs with his then wife. They split up, and so did that particular band, and so that was one of the things that was happening. The other thing that was happening when Wolf Parade went on hiatus was we saw the rise of Sunset Rubdown, at least coming up a little bit more in prominence, Spencer Krug leading that effort, and from them we heard Idiot Heart. I'm Randall Liberon. This is Pop Culture, and we're just checking in and letting you know that, this is taking place on Radio Gordo and Cheer FM and this Canada Day weekend. Hopefully your parties are going well, even if it's a party of one or two. And by party, I mean just chilling out and listening to some tunes, or perhaps you're listening to this with a slightly more rambunctious group of people and you're enjoying the evening. Just want you to be, safe and cool. Have a good time, and make sure that the good time doesn't get too crazy or too negative. You leave that to me, because we're gonna kick up the rock just a little bit on this next set of songs. The third band in this set were youngsters. We're talking like late teens, very early 20s, when they recorded a demo album that I first got from them back in 2001 in my early days in college, when I was doing a lot of music writing for the student paper. One of my favorite bands out of Vancouver. I think if you're a bit of a long-time listener of this show, you know that I have a fondness for the band Black Mountain. So we're going to check out Evil Ways from them. But before we get to that one, this is a band called Death from Above, 1979. We're talking a two-piece band here. Jesse Keeler on bass and synthesizer, Sebastian Granger on drums and vocals, and they rock, and they kick it out loud and hard, like on this track right here. This is Virgins.
Don't ever change. That is good enough.
band called Limestone Burn. They're no longer around, but some of the members of that band are still active in the music scene to this day on the Lower Island, so that's pretty awesome. Nice little bit of sort of, I guess, cultural debris in my collection to still have that one. I almost wonder if those guys know that that's still floating out there. Black Mountain, Evil Ways before that, Death from Above, 1979, with Virgins at the start of that set. And we're going to switch gears on this next pair of songs because we haven't really touched on much in the way of hip-hop in the Canadian music scene, and there is definitely a little bit of that I enjoy. Buck 65 standing by from the East Coast, but from the West Coast, this is a guy called McEnroe from the album Disenfranchised, going back to 2002. This is Wandering Eye.
I pledged my allegiance in the summer of 92. Mecca and the Soul Brothers sealed the deal. Before that I was a casual listener, but I kept my guard up cause it didn't seem real. I always knew I would be a musician. At age 6 I knew all the words to Elton John. I played air guitar like Eddie Van Halen, though I couldn't get my hair cut like David Lee Roth. I stayed up late just for Friday night videos, back when videos were cool, no matter what the song. And I'd vote for the top 10 on AM radio, which hardly ever changed. You could always sing along, and my mom, dad, and I could agree on a record to play on a road trip, but that would change. I was down with Doobie Brothers and Hall & Oates, Duran Duran, Michael Jackson, and a host of other names. But along came guys like Bryan Adams, and the audience got older, so things got soft. After the invention of the power ballad, it was time for this teen to turn his radio off. So I rode to the skate park in silence till one day R.K. had the words "Dead Kennedys" on his grip tape. When I inquired, he said I wouldn't like it, but instead they remain one of my favorite bands to this day. And I was welcome to a world I never knew. Most of these bands were beyond obscure. They had to make their recordings for themselves, so it sounded kinda rough, but the music was pure. But nothing stays the same forever, and punk became alternative and audiences grew. And I went from Descendants to Smashing Pumpkins, but by the second Lollapalooza I had to find something new.
I gotta find something new, man. I gotta find something new. I gotta find something new, man. I gotta find something new.
Now if you like punk rock, then you knew Public Enemy, and of course De La Soul and the Beastie Boys. But I mostly thought rap was a kind of commercial that was used to sell chicken and children's toys. We used to dance to Dinosaur Jr., and when Hammer came on, we would head out to the hallway. But after Mecca and the Soul Brother hit me, it was all rap, only rap, just rap all day. I had to get everything in my collection, so Pippi and Honeycutt gave me dubs. Never enough just to be the critic, so making beats and writing rhymes became my love. We started Farm Fresh and played with anybody, punk, rock, hip-hop, folk, and country. We thought we could sign to a major label, so we played for A&Rs, but we came up empty. I kept it low-key while I got my degree, and never thought of doing it seriously. And I worked full-time in a shirt and tie, and on the side made a record called the Ethics EP. It was fun, but also a business, which started to require more and more time. In 01, we released 5 albums, and soon I was no longer on the corporate dime. Being self-employed is a dream come true, where every day of freedom seems better than the next. But I'm starting to believe that, I'm starting to forget that hip-hop is more than just cashing checks. And I wanna stay the fan, I get every new release, but they're starting to move me less and less. And when I'm working on the books, I listen to classic rock and look at this art form and wonder what's next.
I gotta find something new, man. I gotta find something new. I gotta find something new, man. I gotta find something new.
Hip-hop has taught me so much about music. Without it, I would not be a fan of Al Green. And I truly believe in the music my friends make. I've accepted that will never be part of the mainstream. I'm grateful that I'm able to put food on the table, and I'm glad I found an audience for me to maintain. But I want that feeling from Mecca and the Soul Brother. Wonder if I ever had that feeling again.
I gotta find something new, man.
everything you want, 24 hours a day. What else do you need? Yeah, it's great. Everything you want. I mean, everything you imagine, you can get it. If you get the money, if you got the money for that, you just go there and you get it.
Like a beaten dog. Now he's become everything that you hate. He's just in time to be too late. His friends are like snowflakes, his lies are confessions. Behold the old man in his ruined possessions. He can't play guitar, but he does try very hard. Pens from hotel rooms, old library card, photos and whatnots, blood in his boots, sun in his eyes, an anchor instead of roots. Clocks on every wall, fish in the ocean. Solitude, faith, suspicion, commotion. The hole in his stomach tastes like words. He dreams and imagines his face like hers. He knows he can't live without his greatest fears, and nothing's more beautiful than a woman's tears. Full of regrets, he feeds his remorse like you feed your pets. Voices in his head that all said live a day, but the look in his eyes makes him a dead giveaway. The vow that he breaks, the line that he draws. He fell in love with the ugliness that nobody saw. As close as he came, as far as he stood, he loved her with his mouth as hard as he could. Most people change when they enter the door. They walk home from work and remember the war. He's digging a ditch and spent the day piling dirt until it hurt and went away smiling, alone and heartbroken, just the way he likes it. Only the loneliness knows him wholly, and nothing seems to work. Wrong everywhere. He watches her brushing her long heavy hair.
with one of my favorite Canadian artistic statements from 2005, not 1995. That was Buck 65. Ooh, a lot of fives on that one. Corrugated tin facade. Secret House Against the World is such a fantastic album. It's one of those ones in which its brevity works to its advantage. It doesn't have the chance to overstay its welcome. Almost has like modern Bob Dylan vibes on that one. So pretty cool work there from Buck 65. McEnroe before that with Wandering Eye. And now we're going to get into two bands where somebody in each of these bands showed up earlier in this set. We have Meat Draw, Standing By. Great song from them, In the Afterlife. Beautiful. It's beautiful. But so is this next one. This is Sebastian Granger. He was the drummer in Death From Above 1979, going for a much different vibe on this one. And a fantastic question. Are there? When you think about it, there are many times when maybe we want to go home. And maybe that home doesn't exist anymore, or for whatever reason it is, you can't get to it. Well, this is a song that's kind of about that feeling. Sebastian Granger, Are There Ways to Come Home?
Will shame drive you home? Will fame make you whole? I don't know, I don't know.
If you've been gone too long, live in the woods. We live in the ground. We used to eat the earth. Now we just eat sound. But we are starving, 'cause the silence is all around. And now every word, every whisper, every song goes straight to our mouths. Stepped out of the woods into the blinding headlights. It's gonna be hard to see in the afterlife, but you have no idea how hard I fight. Well, this ain't a war, and you ain't no soldier. You're just a fishing man with blood and guts on his hands. But did you ever feel more alive? You're standing in line, waiting for your coffee for your 9 to 5. So when I go, bury me with my knife. That's how I'll make ends meet in the afterlife. But you have no idea how hard I fight. All your little voices get out of my head. All your voices get out of my head. So I went to the doctor. He told me I'd be fine, just as long as I realized now how I had been so blind. And the end of the world, well, it just had to come. Well, it was so full of dirt and poison and rot, well, it just had to go. So when I go, remember all that died. That's who I'll answer to in the afterlife. But you have no idea how hard I fight. Yeah, you have no idea.
Some more music out of Victoria, BC. That was Meat Draw, In the Afterlife. Great song from that band. Lily Fawn from Hank and Lily in that band as well. And last up in this edition of Pop Your Culture, this Canada Day edition, goes to this East Coast band. I think maybe we're looking at Montreal again, technically. Anything really past the Rockies feels like East Coast. Vancouver Island resident. Anyways, the band is the Deers. This is a fantastic song. This is Ballad of Human Kindness.
Well, I thought that we'd all care about peace, and I thought that we'd all cry about love and loss, and I thought that we were somehow holding on, but I'm just standing here. No one should have to live all of their life on their own. No one should have to live all of their life on their own. Every time I think about what I can do, it just slips away. And every time I think that we can make things work, well, it just slips away. And I turn on the news and there's always some dude who's relentlessly bringing me down, telling me how there are too many dark people out there who'll never be found. Well, no one should have to live all of their life on the run. No one should have to live all of their life on the run. No one should have to live that sort of life, and I think it's time that we all learn forgiveness. And I can't believe the vast amounts of people living on the streets. And I can't believe that I was almost one of them, and I almost died. And I can't believe I haven't lent a hand, that I'm just standing here. Well, I'm gonna change, 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 I'm gonna change. No one should have to live all of their life on their own. No one should have to live all of their life on their own. No one should have to live all of their life on their own. No one should have to live all of their life alone.
And that's been Pop Your Culture for this week. I've been your host, Randall Libron. Thank you to everybody who took the time on this Canada Day weekend to tune into this show. Thanks to CHIR FM and to Radio Gordo for allowing this to go out on those airways. And until next time, be cool to one another, and we'll catch you later. Peace.